Hey everybody, so we're starting to join our back hem and our front hem in the round. I've got my back hem on just a spare needle holding it. It is unattached to any working yarn. My front hem I have on my size 7 or size smaller than the body needle still, and it's still attached to my working yarn over there. So we want to leave this guy attached, the front one. The back one is totally separate and on a holder of some kind. It's easiest if it's on some sort of needle. It doesn't matter what size, as long as it's smaller than what you've been working on. So we are here, just finished all of our hem stuff, and it says on the front hem, do not break the yarn. So we're going to go over here to the setup round. So I'm going to knit 54 stitches across the front hem, place marker for front center seam, and all the other stuff too, but we're going to take it one step at a time. So I'm going to do this with my larger needle. So I'm going to bust out my body needle to do this next part. So it's its own thing. I'm using a size 8, so I'm going to knit 54. Now, if you end up with a slightly different number than what you should end up with, this is where you can adjust. So if you were supposed to have 109 stitches and you counted and you only have 108, you can increase here with your favorite increase. So add an extra stitch at the edges of either of your piece if you need to, or if you need to eliminate a stitch, knit 2 together at the start or end of a piece before you get joined totally together. Now that we've knit our 54 across, should be over a knit stitch in your rib here, and this is where your seam is going to be. So in the pattern it says knit 54 stitches across the front hem, place marker for front center seam. So I'm going to place a marker right here, and then it says slip one with yarn in front. So we're going to bring it to the front, slip it, put the yarn back. I'm actually going to put another marker on the other side of this so that I know that this specific stitch is the seam. Okay, and then we're going to knit to the end of this hem. So now that we've knit across the front hem completely and we've placed the markers for the seam, I'm going to place another marker here before I knit onto the back hem, because I want to make sure, to make our lives easier in the next portion, that we know where we joined the back hem to the front hem, because we will split these two apart again in our third meeting. So I'm placing another marker here. And then we're going to look at our pattern. It does not say to put a marker, but place a marker. It'll make your life easier. So now it says join the back hem with wrong side facing and knit however many you need to do. So that just means we're going to find the end where we need to begin knitting. We know it's the right end because the yarn's coming off of it. And now I'm going to knit 54 here. Okay, I'm halfway through the back hem here. Knit another 54 stitches since I joined the two hems together. So now I'm ready to mark my center back seam. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to place a marker here at 54. This following stitch here, that is our center back seam, so I'm going to slip that one with yarn in front, bring my yarn back, and then place another marker just so I know that that single seam stitch is the seam. So now we get to knit the final 54. Okay, I knit my 54, my final 54. I still have 3 stitches left, so I overcast on. And instead of just powering through, I'm going to just knit all 3 together. That's my 54th stitch. Do I think this is going to show? Absolutely not. See how that just got rid of 2 extra stitches that I just didn't need. So now I've got my 54 and I knit 3 together to get it that way. So if you end up with any extra stitches in your hems, feel free to do the same. It's not a huge deal. If you count ahead of time, which I probably should have done, I probably would have decreased 1 stitch here and 1 at the other end to make it more balanced, but at this point I really don't think this is going to be visible in my finished sweater, so I'm not concerned about it. So I've finished knitting across all the hem. I'm going to place another marker. This is your beginning of round marker, so if you want to use a different color than all the other ones, that's a good idea. And then we're going to join in the round. Now, joining in the round, of course, we want to make sure that we do not have any twists in our join. Otherwise, we're going to end up with a Mobius sweater, which is not exactly what we want. So I'm just going to go through really quick and make sure that it's not crossing the cord in any way. Looks good. Don't have any major twists. It's a little rumply, but no twists. So we just finished setup round number 1. And now we're on to round 1 for real. So round 1 for real, after all the setup, is here. It says knit to the first center seam marker, slip marker, purl 1, knit to the back center seam marker, slip marker, purl 1, knit to the end. Easy enough, right? So we're just going to knit around, and then when we come to our seam marker, we're going to purl it. So here I'm going to knit. Here's my seam marker, and I know it's my seam because it's got 2 markers around one little stitch. This guy is going to get purled. Then we're going to knit. This is our join of the sides. I'm just going to ignore this marker and move it along when I come to it. Then I'm going to knit over to the back seam, and we're going to purl this little guy and knit around. That's round 1. Round 2 of the body, we're going to knit to the first center seam marker, slip 1 with yarn in front. This is our seam stitch. Knit to the back center seam marker, slip 1 yarn in front. That's our back seam stitch, and knit to the end. Easy enough. So then we're going to repeat rounds 1 and 2 until piece measures 15 inches from the back cast on edge, or however long you need it to be. That is joining your sweater in the round. Feel free to stop by if you have any questions, but I think you guys can do this. Once you get your hems done, you'll be great. So use different color markers if that's going to help. So this is my beginning of round. Use a nice bright one. That'll help make things easier. And then the only other modification we did to these rounds is I put 2 markers on either side of my seam marker stitch, just so that I know where that little guy is. Okay, awesome. Happy knitting.